Oh, you beautiful disaster. You gorgeous glitch in their carefully coded system. They're saying you did something impossible, aren't they? Something that shouldn't have worked. Something that required years of training, decades of preparation, entire lifetimes of dedication. But you did it on a Tuesday afternoon while eating chips and half watching Netflix. And now their entire world is collapsing like a house of cards in a hurricane. Let me paint you the picture. They're too terrified to see. While Special Forces operators were doing push-ups at 4 a.m., while chess grandmasters were studying endgame theory until their eyes bled, while Silicon Valley prodigies were burning through their 20s and 80-hour work weeks, you were what? Playing around, experimenting, just seeing what would happen if you pushed this button or pulled that lever. And then boom, you accidentally split the atom of their entire reality. They spent millions on training programs, billions on research and development, entire generations perfecting systems and protocols, Harvard MBAs, crafted strategies in war rooms with whiteboards and expensive consultants. Former Navy SEALs wrote best-selling books about discipline and mental toughness. And you were probably in your pajamas, maybe hadn't even brushed your teeth yet, just fooling around with something that caught your attention for 5 minutes. But here's the thing they'll never admit, the truth that's making them lose sleep and question everything they've ever believed in. What you did wasn't luck. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't some cosmic accident that can be explained away with probability and statistics. No, what you did was worse. You proved that their entire framework, their whole understanding of how excellence works, was built on quicksand. See, they need you to believe in the mythology of effort. They need you to think that greatness comes from suffering, that excellence requires sacrifice, that legendary status is earned through blood, sweat, and carefully documented tears. They built entire industries around this lie. Self-help gurus, motivational speakers, life coaches, all feeding off the idea that if you just work hard enough, if you just follow the right program, you too can achieve what the masters achieve. But you just shattered their entire business model with a yawn and a stretch. You didn't wake up at 5 a.m. to meditate. You didn't have a vision board. You didn't track your macros or optimize your morning routine. You were just playing. And in that play, in that moment of pure, unfiltered curiosity, you did something that their most dedicated disciples couldn't accomplish in a lifetime. 20 years. That's how long Special Operations Forces train to develop the kind of precision, the kind of instinct, the kind of lethal effectiveness that you displayed while basically sleepwalking. They crawl through mud, jump out of planes, survive interrogation scenarios, master 17 different weapon systems. They break their bodies down and rebuild them into machine. And you probably couldn't even do 10 proper push-ups. But that's exactly why you terrify them. Because you didn't follow their sacred path. You didn't pay your dues. You didn't ask permission from the gatekeepers or wait in line for your turn. You just reached out with your untrained, unworthy, unprepared hand and grabbed lightning from the sky like it was nothing, like it was yours all along. Now watch them scramble. Watch them try to explain you away. It was beginner's luck, they'll say, their voices shaking. A statistical anomaly, they'll insist, their hands trembling as they adjust their theories. This doesn't change anything, they'll declare, even as everything changes around them. Because if you can do what you did, if someone can just stumble into legendary status while half asleep and fully bored, then what was all their suffering for? Think about it. Right now, there's a kid who spent the last decade of his life in a dojo, breaking boards and earning belts, believing that mastery comes from repetition and discipline. And you just performed a move that his sensei said would take 30 years to understand. There's a programmer who sacrificed her social life to master 17 programming languages, and you just solved a problem she couldn't crack by randomly mashing keys until something worked. They're having emergency meetings about you. Conference calls with experts trying to figure out how to contain what you've done. We need to study this, they're saying. We need to understand the anomaly. But they can't study what they can't comprehend. They can't analyze what exists outside their framework. You're not a data point on their graph. You're the hand that ripped the graph in half. The military has a term for what you did: force multiplication. It means achieving maximum impact with minimal resources. They spend years teaching soldiers how to do it: strategic thinking, resource management, leverage points. And you force multiplied their entire reality by accident. You weren't even trying to win their game. You were just bored, and in your boredom, you revealed that their game was meaningless. Let's talk about prerequisites, shall we? Those sacred stepping stones they insist everyone must climb. You can't do advanced calculus without basic math. You can't perform surgery without medical school. You can't write a symphony without understanding music theory. Except you just did the equivalent of performing brain surgery with a butter knife while humming a tune you made up, and somehow the patient not only survived but evolved into a new species. This is what's breaking their brains. You violated the sacred order of things. You skipped the tutorial and went straight to the final boss, except you didn't even know it was a boss fight. You thought you were playing with a practice dummy. And you won. Not just won, you achieved a perfect score that the game's own developers didn't know was possible. Every institution in the world is built on the idea of gradual progression. Elementary school leads to middle school, leads to high school, leads to college, leads to graduate school, leads to maybe, if you're very good and very lucky, you get to contribute something meaningful to your field. That's the path. That's the only path. Except you just teleported from the starting line to a finish line that wasn't even on the map. They're looking at your technique under a microscope, trying to understand what you did differently. But that's like trying to understand jazz by counting the notes. You weren't using technique. You were using something much more dangerous: raw, unfiltered intuition. The kind of intuition that their systems are designed to suppress, to train out of people, to replace with proper methodology. And now you've infected others with possibility. That's the real danger. That's why they're truly panicking. Because every person who hears about what you did starts to wonder, what else have they been lying about? What other impossible things might be possible if I just try? You've planted a virus in the collective consciousness, and it's spreading faster than they can contain it. Someone reading this right now is realizing they don't need that certification they've been saving up for. Someone else is understanding that the expert who told them it would take 10 years might have been protecting their own position. Someone is looking at the mountain they've been told to climb and wondering if maybe, just maybe, there's a door at the base that leads straight to the top. You didn't just break a record, you broke the concept of records. You didn't just win a game, you revealed that the game was imaginary. You didn't just succeed, you redefined what success means. And you did it all without meaning to.